Hey, welcome to another Valley Forged. Today is the Christmas buyer's guide. It's getting close to getting close to Christmas. And a lot of people are going to be saying, "Okay, which laser should I buy?" And they're going to see all these different things and it's tough to make a decision, and I am going to help as best I can in this episode. I love lasers. I run a laser business full time. It's all I do. And I can have any laser I want. And I have affiliates with pretty much all of the companies, or all the ones that I want to have affiliates with. I'll say that. And I've used most of these lasers, but you don't actually, I get this a lot. People are like, well, if you haven't used the laser, you don't know. You know what? I don't know what you do for a living, but think of it through that point of view, or what you're passionate about, right? Are you telling me that, say you're a fan of Porsches and you have one model, but you wouldn't know if another model is good after, you knowing about it, right? After you researching it, you kind of get an idea of what's good, what's not, what's wrong with them, things like that. It's just how it goes. But again, I have had most of these lasers, and if I haven't had it, it's because I didn't request it. But I still trust that it is good because of the other people and I will get into that. But like, subscribe, all that kind of stuff. I talk about all kinds of laser things, patterns, cutting, learning, what laser is best, you name it. When it comes to lasers, that's just something I love. It's what I wake up every day and I want to do. And that's the reason why I put this actually up on the screen, is just because it makes me smile. And I do a lot of the things I do because it makes me smile. So we're going to go over things from what I would say is getting into lasers all the way up through, if you're running a business, you want to run a business with a diode laser. I do. Now, there's one sitting right back there, and I've used many different ones to do this that are on this list. So you can go from just making fun stuff to starting your own business, and it's not as difficult as you might think, but it may take longer. This is a get rich slow scheme, but it is worth it. And if you really just love what you do, then there's nothing wrong with that. It's not like work. So I'm going to go all the way up from 5 watts to 70 watts. That's pretty much the height of diode lasers this year, and maybe for the foreseeable future, because of some reasons I'll get into as well. I said 5 watts all the way up through 70 watts. Well, I'm going to talk about 5 and 10 watt lasers right now. I don't recommend them. I just think that the amount of things that you can do with it, and the amount of frustration that you are going to get because you can't cut through 3mm wood a lot of times, or it's not consistent, is going to end up costing you more in the long run, especially because some of the prices for the 20 watt lasers, or the ones that are 30 watts and have 10 watts, if you want to do, tight engraving or whatnot, it's just a better deal to me in the long run. And a lot of you that have bought 5 or 10 watt lasers have upgraded to 20 or above, just because it really does make a difference. I have lots of videos that I talk about where I get my wood from Craft Closet, right? Most everything they sell there is 3mm. Well, if 1 out of every 2 times you're cutting through 3mm, it doesn't quite cut through, it's not a good look. So you're going to have some great engraving, but how do you cut that engraving out? So I personally, because of what I do, don't recommend 5 or 10 watt lasers. Does that mean they're wrong for everyone? No. But as you can see on this list, some of these 20 watt lasers are darn cheap. And I have discount links. I have links for everything below. And sometimes I get discounts, sometimes I don't. But I would still compare each one for what is best for you. If you're going to save 5-10% on a laser, but the other one doesn't have a savings, if it's better for you, maybe it's worth just to spend that little extra money. But all of these lasers I'm going to talk about are excellent. It's just try and figure out what is best for you. We have regular, we have what we call open frame lasers, which, doesn't have an enclosure with it, and maybe missing some other things that you have to buy. Or we have what's all-in-ones. That's kind of all the rage this year, and there'll be a few all-in-ones in this list. I'm just going to go straight through the powers. So let's just start out. The very first one on my list, I love this laser. As far as for the price, I don't think you can do better. But sometimes things go on sale, they may go up, they may go down. So it's best to look at everything in the category that you're looking at and see what the sale is that day, But I really, really like this laser. It has all of the latest features. There's like nothing on this thing that's like, there's more. How do I even say this? It has everything. So all of the lasers I'm going to go through today, this has all of the latest features for all of them. And that is pretty cool. The laser head here, it turns off when you're not using it, meaning the laser is completely silent. Now, for many people, that's going to be a good thing. For a few people, they want to have it on so they don't forget that it's on. That is the thing. But I really like that feature, and some of the more expensive ones don't have it. But this laser just has everything. It's good in power. It has that 400 by 400, which is kind of the standard size. One thing about it is you will need to get the air supply, which you can get right here from AtomStack. I would suggest getting theirs, and it will turn on and off in Lightburn. Now, Lightburn is the software that most lasers you're going to want to use, because once you learn it, you can use it. If you want to start a business and you want to buy a $50,000 laser in the future, good chance you'll be using Lightburn. So it's just a great thing to learn all of the files that you build. And I've run into this problem in the past. You make a lot of files and then you switch softwares, and then all of a sudden maybe they're not compatible. It's just a nightmare. So having it Lightburn compatible, very, very good idea. And I do suggest everybody get Lightburn. So with this one, when it's an open frame laser, not an all-in-one, it's going to be cheaper, but you are going to have to buy some things. Like if you have this even in a garage and you're running it, that smoke is going to go everywhere. It's going to go right into you. You do not want that. You have no idea what people are putting in their wood. They don't care. So you can get an enclosure as low as like $40, $50. So it's not the hugest deal. It's just something to be aware of, that you are going to need to get an enclosure. A lot of times it will come with a fan that extracts that air out. I run a separate setup. I run a 6-inch duct fan that goes, I'll even put a picture of it, that I put outside that sucks the air out. And that works really, really well for me. I love this duct fan. It costs $30. Totally worth it, in my opinion. But you will need a way to get that air out, and you will need an enclosure for all of these open frame. If you don't see it has an enclosure, you're probably going to need one. So with this, you're going to need an air assist. Wonderful laser. Like I said, it's 20 watts. AtomStack has become one of my go-to laser companies. It wasn't always this way. I've had some really bad times with when they first started making lasers, but they have really come a long ways. Not only do I recommend them, but a lot of other YouTubers that have businesses recommend AtomStack as well. Very good. And up and coming company, in my opinion. So take a look at that one, see if it fits for you. I really like it. Another company, it's so weird when it comes to longer, because I've never had a longer laser break. I've had several of them, and none of them have ever broken. So I can't really vouch for customer service. They don't seem like a company that would have super great customer service. But again, I've never needed it. This laser is just a monster. I've done so much work on this thing. It was one of the first 20-watt lasers I got. It was the first 20-watt laser I got, and I used it to death. I built my business on this laser. I do not recommend it, just because the Atom Stack for around the same price just has so many of the new features, and it's just a way better machine. For its time, this was fantastic. But if you start going really fast with this machine, you're going to start seeing jiggly lines. It's just kind of the older generation of laser. It doesn't have any of the newer features, the auto air, and it just, yeah. I wouldn't recommend this one, although great. I just wanted to mention, wonderful product. If you had one, I wouldn't say no to it. But if you just look at the 30 watt, or you could get the 20 watt of their new model, which is the B1 series, you will see that it just has so much more for the money. In fact, here's the B1. I'm going to get into 30 watt lasers here in a second. But look, for $700, you get a 30 watt, which, that jump from 20 to 30 is wonderful. And you're just going to you get the air assist with it. It's just a better deal. But they do make this in a 20 watt version. And so you could check that one out as well, and just see if you really want a 20 watt laser. Check out the longer B1 20 watt and see between 20 and 30 watts what makes the most sense for you. But again, I love longer. Never let me down. No matter which laser that they have sent me, it has always worked, and that is something to say. But when we're getting into 30 watts, I would take a look at this. If you want an open frame, a laser for a really great price, the longer B1 30 watt, great machine. Again, never let me down. You will have to get an enclosure for it, exhaust, all that. Honeycomb bed, it's something to get. I would get the 500 by 500. If you have a 400 millimeter by 400 millimeter working area, which most of these do, you're going to want to get a 500 by 500 millimeter honeycomb bed. I know that may seem counterintuitive, but when they say 400 by 400 of the honeycomb bed, it just means from edge to edge, not the usable area. A lot of people, get that mixed up, and you end up not being able to use your whole area, which, it's kind of crazy not to be able to do that. So just keep that in mind. Honeycomb beds aren't that expensive. I like the Two Trees brand of honeycomb beds. And they're generally around $50 or something for a 500 by 500. Very good quality. Will last you forever. So the least expensive 30 watt laser that is a really good value, in my opinion, is the longer B1. The next step, though, the laser I have, and you can get this in the XW, which is this one, or you can get the 400 by 400 basically version for cheaper. So check out both of those. Right behind me, I have this exact laser right here without the rotary, because I don't do rotary work. So mine as it stands right now is $1,600.49. Now that's quite a jump up from the longer B1. So you really got to think about these things. Now, what you're going to get is, of course, an all-in-one machine. This is way higher quality. The B1 is excellent, but just everything is just built to be an entire machine. You don't have to mess with getting a honeycomb bed. You don't have to mess with getting an enclosure. You can see they don't really make enclosures for less than $300 that you can see all the way around the machine. This is one of the only... I think this is the only laser that really you can view what's going on in the machine from this far away. I could turn around and I can see that my laser's working correctly from here without worrying about my eyes. And that for me, this is invaluable. I run this as a business. I want to be able to, keep an eye out of the back of my head and know things are going okay. And it's fun to look at. I wake up in the morning, I see that laser, and it makes me happy. And that's worth something to me. You know, I picked this laser on purpose as to being my personal laser that I run my business on and demonstrate all of my things for so many reasons that I just love it. It's built well. The customer service is the best in the industry. I don't think many people are going to argue that Rolly as a company is number one in customer service. Is it perfect? No, no laser company is perfect. But a lot of the customer service for laser companies has gone down, down, down. And, you know, customer service is something that is very well known for Rolly and the Lasermatic. I just made a video going over why I love this machine, so you can go and check that out. So I don't have to go too much into that. But it's brilliant. The laser head here, the fan does not turn off when you're not using it. So I have to physically turn the machine off to turn that part off. The exhaust fan, of course, is on something separate. But even with that, it was totally worth it for me. Most lasers are like that, and I just love it. That's all I can say. So if you do have the money, this is somewhere I would say to go, unless there's a reason why you would want something else. And I'm going to go over some of these higher power lasers. 40 watts may be the right thing for you. Now, the jump from 30 to 40 watts, here's basically how it feels to me, is 30 watts will cut 1/4 inch. It will cut it. To do it, like, you want to make sure that it cuts every single time with hardwoods and you don't have to worry about it, you might have to do 2 passes. Whereas with a 40 watt, you're going to do 1 pass with 1/4 inch. Downside is that the size of the burn, the size of the line, which is called the kerf, is going to be a little larger to the point where you'll notice it. Like, I made this video not too long ago. This yin yang kitties. This is something that I sell, like, seriously. It's like printing money. I still sell them at stores. I sell them at shows, everywhere, and they just go crazy. In fact, my Halloween ones just sold out like super fast. Well, when I make them with the 30 watt, I can just cut them out with I get this colorboard solids from Craft Closet. I have a link below for them. They definitely are the only place I get wood, really. And I do have a discount link for them, of course. But I was a customer first. And what I learned with these colorboard solids just recently is that I could cut them out and just glue them together, and I would have this yin yang kitty coaster that I could sell and make very, very good profit. Well, it's like a puzzle, and I do a lot of what I do is like a puzzle. You cut the stuff out in separate colors, and then you glue it together on top of something, and it's done, right? And I love that. And when you have a 30 watt laser, it seems like that space for a puzzle fits just right. But when you get up into 40 watts, it's just a little loose. Heck, if I could have them all here at one time, I'd love to do a test to see the difference. I did decide that the 30 watt was better for me because of that reason, and just because I love this laser. And now I have the XW, I have the ability to do larger projects, and I can make more at one time. And it's just a lot of reasons where this just made so much sense to me. But there are a lot of really good 40 watt lasers. And if you want to cut 1/4 inch consistently, or even above, up to 1/2 inch, but that's maybe take multiple passes depending on the wood. But the 1/4 inch, you're going to be able to get through in 1 pass. And so you make consistently fast 1/4 inch things, like, the Lord's Prayer crosses that I make. That file is, of course, below as well. All of my files. That's another thing I wanted to quickly mention. I do a lot of leather, and I really feel like the 30 watt is just perfect for that. 40 watts, again, the line size is a little bigger. It's still going to do amazing. Diode lasers are fantastic for leather, and I just did a video on that. But seriously, for cutting 1/4 inch consistently, like the crosses, it's just way better, in my opinion, here. To to have the 40 watt. And this is that Ace V, that 20-watt laser that I showed you as the entry level. Now that was about half the price of this one. But again, this has all of the latest things. You're going to lose a little bit of your working area because the laser head is bigger. So you've got a 385 by 400 instead of a 400 by 400. But they do sell an extension, so you could go 385 by 850. So it's a pretty versatile laser that has all of the latest features. I think this is a wonderful way to go. I would check between maybe the B1 and this. I would say this is a little better, only the fact that it's going to be a little more versatile to where you can get the extension and everything. It comes with the air assist. The technology is just going to have all the newer features. Great laser. But if you do want to do bigger things, I would look at the X40, A40, X40 Max. This is already 800 by 400 or something. Here, let's take a look at it. Yeah, 800 by 400. So right out of the box, you're going to make really big things. It's $1,000. So right in the line of the 400 by 400 of the Atom Stack, right? Yeah, they're both Atom Stack. In line with the A40, right? So, but how much room do you have? Like, I can't even fit one of these. It's just too big for the working space that I'm currently using. Plus, if you're going to add an enclosure and all of that kind of thing, remember, you're going to have to get a honeycomb bed. You're going to have to get an enclosure. Now, Clack Shack uses this and one other one exclusively. He built his own enclosure, so wonderful. He built his own place for the honeycomb bed. So if you have this in a garage and you can build all of those things for it, well, you're really going to have a really incredible machine that can do so many different things. So this is a great laser. They do have an enclosure for this, $270. They do make an enclosure that will fit this. So that's important to know. But just line it all up and say, okay, well, for all of the money I spend, is this going to be the best laser for me, for what I want to do and kind of think I might want to do? Something I haven't named yet, and I'm sure a lot of you are like, hey, well, are you going to talk about Xtool? For the most part, I don't recommend Xtool. And let me give you a couple of reasons. Now, this one I do for some people, and this is why I'm going to get into this. But for the majority of the lasers that they sell, the price is just too high for the quality that you're going to get, and compared to the other lasers, and it's using mostly their software. Now, you can use Lightburn with it, but it doesn't work as good. So you're paying more money, and then you're getting mostly a software that may be not compatible with what you want to upgrade to later. Now, that is still true for the S1, and I did a review of this, and I liked it quite a bit. This is a really fun, beautiful laser. It looks really nice in the office. I would recommend the 40-watt version, and you're looking at, $1,900. It's an expensive laser. Xtool is very expensive. But I give a lot of praise for Xtool because they brought a lot to the market. I'm sure you've seen a million Xtool commercials. But they have innovated. They've brought us to where we are now, and I do appreciate that, and I want to give them props for it. Somebody's got to pay for all that innovation, right? I think this is a great laser, and if you're kind of an Apple person and you would rather just get something, you plug it in, you turn it on, it works good. It's the XCS software, which they use, is very good software and pretty easy to learn compared to Xtool. It's kind of a little more plug and play. Xtool Lightburn isn't difficult to learn, but this is just much more, user friendly, I would say, right out the bat. It's a good choice, and I wouldn't knock anybody for buying this laser. I have an affiliate link for them as well, but just compare it money-wise to the other lasers and what you get. And if you're like me and you want to exclusively use Lightburn, the Rolly Lasermatic was just a way better choice for me. That I for less money, you can get the XW. You know, it's only 30 watt compared to 40 watt, so you have to think of that. Are you going to be cutting a lot of quarter inch all the time? But for me, I cut quarter inch quite a bit, and most of it I can get through in one pass with a 30 watt. Some of it, to be super sure, I have to do twice. With this one, you're not. But with the XW, I have this huge bed and I can make a lot more stuff. And to me, the Lightburn does make a big difference. But again, I don't knock anybody. In fact, you can watch my video on this one. I like it quite a bit. They sent me the 20 watt, which I thought was a huge mistake. I really should have tried the 40 watt because that's much more in line with what I do. But it is something to keep an eye on. When we get to the very tip top of the laser game right now, we are talking about a 70 watt diode laser. Now, IKEA makes a 70 watt. I have not worked with them. I would check out Ventari for that. The Atom Stack A70, I did have this, and I used this exclusively as my business laser for quite some time. It is an absolute, the beast is overused, but it is what, as far as what this laser can do for the cost and the fact that it's a diode laser, it's just absolutely incredible. I showed you, you can go back and watch my videos though. You see this, how deep that it looks on the picture? Oh yeah. Oh yeah. I had three, like almost an inch cherry, I think, and it's just one pass. I mean, it was like incredible. And there's no other laser that I've tried as a diode laser that can close to match the power. Now, this has a switch between 35 watts and 70, which I did find useful in this. 70 watts is maybe more power than you think it is when it comes to just this little laser, because mostly when you're using a laser this powerful, it's in a full metal case, like a CO2 laser. And that may be the best thing because it makes you more cautious when you realize, oh, this is like a real thing. When you get this, it's just some open frame laser and you think, oh yeah, I could just play around with it. No, this is like seriously destroy Alderaan type laser. I mean, don't think this is a toy. This is not a toy. So make sure you have a good enclosure. You have really good air. It comes, as you can see with the power supply, it's huge. I think this is a really well-built laser. I think it's very, very worth $1,500 if it fits what you want to do. If you're wanting to cut 1/2 inch quite a bit, 1/8 inch like butter, but you're not going to be doing a lot of engraving. It's really not great at engraving. The kerf, as I was talking about before, is quite large. It makes a lot of smoke. It makes a lot of char, but you can make cabinets. You can they make a max version of this, right? So you can even get it super huge and make whatever. But I would look into this if you just want a monster of a laser. You can watch my videos on it. I really, really loved it. If you've seen the files that I sell, these are the ones that I make personally for my own business. A lot of them, as I said before, are like puzzle pieces, and that just wasn't really conducive to this. If I was making furniture or something, this thing would, make a lot more sense to me. But it is a lovely laser. I had an amazing time with it, and I absolutely recommend it for somebody who wants to go that direction. I would suggest building your own enclosure and just having a great time. Ah, there's Ventari now talking about it. Yeah, it's good. 400 by 500 working area, which is also kind of nice. It gives you that extra little bit, so you can make some bigger things without having to have, a super max version. I think this is a great laser for the price as well. I've gone on long enough about that, but laser companies I would not recommend. Certainly Acer. I think this used to, if you go back to my videos like 2 years ago, I recommend them as my #1 laser. And then at some point along the way, they just decided they weren't doing customer service anymore. And it's been a nightmare ever since. So, not something I recommend to people anymore because they come out with some incredible sales. You could get these things so cheap, and it seems like a deal you just can't pass up. But just know that if something breaks on that thing, you ain't getting a hold of nobody. Now, things can change, just like with Atom Stack. I didn't used to love them. Things could always change. And so, as for all of these lasers I mentioned, I would own any of them again. I think they're all wonderful. I wouldn't recommend them to you if I wouldn't personally want to use them. There are many, many, many great laser brands out there. And I'm not saying you shouldn't buy any of them. I'm just saying I personally trust these from everything that I've looked at, and I watch videos constantly on lasers of people I trust, people I don't trust. I see who's maybe just shilling or who is really using these for their business and they're happy with it. These are the kind of things that I look for. I trust my own opinion the most, of course, because I do use a laser pretty much every single day, most of the day. So that would give me a pretty good understanding of what's good and what's not. But everybody's needs are different, as Clack Shack would probably say. That's why he doesn't recommend any one laser. I go a little past that. I do recommend lasers, but everyone is different, and we all need to kind of dig into the details, learn as much as you can before making a purchase, but do make a purchase because lasers are amazing, and I want everybody to get into this. I sell packs, of course, to get you started for easy projects all the way through very difficult projects, and then lots of things that you can sell to start a business with that have worked for me to start a business with. So all of those things work together. So watch my old videos, like, subscribe. If you do have a question, feel free to leave it in the comments, but this isn't Twitter, so don't be an a-hole. I hope this helped you in some way, and if it did, also leave a comment. And I hope to see y'all in the next one. Love y'all.